Is there a recipe for success? Apart from, yes, hard work and sheer dedication.
It's fine as long as you can meet out your targets. So,
How to manage this time, considering that there is so much on the plate of a candidate? And so today with me, I have a very special guest. The guest is Prashanth S, who has secured All India rank 78 in this year's UPSC Civil Services examination, that is 2023. And why Prashanth is special? Because he's not only a medical doctor and getting into the role of civil services. I'm told that he has been an avant-garde throughout his career, and he's been the president of the student wing of the Indian Medical Association, holds his name in the book of records for around 40 odd awards that he has got during his studies and his medical education, so on and so forth. Apart from that, also he is a special person because he took up medical science as an optional, which is not taken up by a lot many candidates, and yet secured such a high rank. So welcome, Prashant.
thank you so much, sir, for all the accolades and the heaps of praise that you mounted on me.
No, you all deserve it. So Prashant, a doctor and a civil servant. It's not that you are the first who is actually taking this road. But how did it occur to you as a person that you should go for civil services?
So I think I have always believed in, a holistic attitude when it comes to, academics, leadership and extracurricular activities. So I've been part of the leadership activities under the IMA, the UNESCO Bioethics Council, and I also had the opportunity to work with the Medical Council, so for the same. And I think, sir, as a doctor, the impact is over 80 to 100 patients a day that we look up. But I think as a civil servant, a single signature can probably impact the lives of at least 1 million plus population. So I think having had, the direct, I would say, a role in the policies of the government, say the Ayushman Bharat scheme, or it could be the Chief Minister's health insurance scheme that we take up at our hospitals, I feel, as a bureaucrat, the impact is huge, and I wish to be part of the nation building process.
So that's really great that you think like this, because as a doctor, as a medical doctor, as a medical professional, you, like you pointed out, you could have you touch upon at least 80 to 100 lives a day, but herein you'll get a far wider canvas, so as to bring about change, a positive change, something betterment in the lives of the people. So tell me about your before we get into the usual questions about the civil services, I'm interested, and I'm sure the viewers out there and the listeners out there would be interested to know about your stint with UNESCO and your IMA. What character these things actually imbibed in you, and what were they? Just shed some light on them.
So, as part of the Indian Medical Association, I happen to be the national convener or the president for the Medical Students Network, and also currently hold the post of the co-convener for the Junior Doctors Network as well. And for the UNESCO Bioethics Council, I've been the national chairperson. And I think as part of these leadership organizations or being part of different NGOs as well, I think it gives you the sense of satisfaction, not just about public service per se, but also about being part of, the bureaucracy at a stage where probably you're not eligible for. So I think this has been during my college stint and, a late schooling as well. So I think that's one. And the second thing is about the confidence, the conviction, and the courage with which you can, carry forward and execute your steps. So I think leadership is something that is, that is this question between whether leaders are born or they're made. So I think, it's a mix of the two, and leaders are, shaped one way. So I think these institutions have been a great, impetus for me to be at whatever stature I am today.
That's great, because a bureaucrat, like you rightly pointed out, has to be at the forefront of various public service, social related, society related activities. And these things would have certainly helped you carve out a personality for yourself to hone sort of those inherent leadership talents that you might have had. So tell me, now getting into the academics of it, I have seen over so many years that a lot of medical doctors do not end up taking medical science as an optional, right? So what made you take that choice? Were you a damn good doctor, or you just had a confidence? Because when we see medical science as an optional, it has a very little semblance with the general studies as the portion which is common for all. So what made you make that choice?
So I think it was a conscious decision to choose medical science more because there were two major reasons. One being, having awarded 40 gold medals in MBBS, I think it was hard for me to justify another optional, especially if, the interview board panel was supposed to ask me. So that was something that I thought about. And the second thing is about the cost-benefit ratio, because reading a new optional, when I probably had 8.5 months to read up the total UPSC syllabus, I think going for a new optional would have incurred me at least 3 to 5 months, and that was not something that I could actually incur. So I thought that probably this was the only optional where I could spend 15 to 20 days and probably get a decent score of, I think, 261 this time. I think that's pretty good compared to the kind of efforts that I've put, and probably even other optionals, however good it might go, you might end up getting the same score. So I really felt probably that medical science was my, to go for optional.
So that brings me to another question, and I would like to draw the thread from here. First attempt. How's the feeling? I mean, clearing the exam, qualifying the exam is itself, a person gets on cloud nine. And doing it in first attempt at such a young age, what adrenaline rush does it give you? So as to say, since I'm talking to a doctor here.
Yeah, it obviously gives you this euphoria because, that is the sensation that people generally do not get into the civil services in the first attempt. And especially if it's the IAS or the IPS, there's always this notion that it takes at least 2 to 3 years minimum. So I think these are certain examples which can dispel that notion. So that's one way of, putting it across. So that can again instill confidence in quite a few aspirants as well. And for me personally, I think, it gives you this calmness because it takes you out of the cycle and you don't have to, follow this mad rush of getting into the UPSC prep once again for maybe next 1 year. So that's the best part of it.
So good riddance, should I say? So as I was talking about the first attempt and, what keeps Prashanth going? And if I say, and a lot of viewers again would be interested to know, is there a recipe for success? Apart from, yes, hard work and sheer dedication. I know that a lot of candidates read almost the similar material. They attend almost the similar classes. What makes the difference? As in, what toppers do differently, or what Prashanth in this case did differently? 5 things maybe you can point out to us, which you can say were your 5 pillars for your success.
I think I've always believed on, smart work, because at the end of the day, working hard, of course, exists and that needs to be part of the component. But, it doesn't make sense if you work hard on unlimited content. So keeping your resources limited, I think, is also pivotal. So that would be 2. And 3 is about identifying revision, because revision has to go hand in hand with mock tests and, you cannot compromise one over the other. So that would be 3. And 4, I think, is about the consistency, because at the end of the day, it's okay if you skip, 1 day, but if it happens a practice where you skip, 1 week and you read 1 day, then probably again it doesn't make sense. And some days can be, where you read 1 hour, and maybe a few other days where you read up 6 hours, 8 hours. I think all this is fine as long as you can meet out your targets. So I think setting a target is also as important as the goal. And, the 5th thing would be about the confidence aspect, because, to sum up all of these, if you have an element of self-doubt and, without the courage, conviction and the confidence over you on the process as well, I really don't think someone will be able to make it to the finishing line. So it's kind of like a relay race or a marathon where, the relay race element is where you hand over the baton from the prelims to the mains, from the mains to the interview and, to the final result, and until service allocation or cadre allocation. And it's kind of like, reaching the finishing line. And that is when probably you've been part of the interview, say, once, and then you flunk that particular attempt. I think it's okay to give another attempt. Also, all the more because your chances of being in the list is always higher, and there are quite a few people who've, made it even in their 6th or 11th attempt. So I think whatever be the chance, I think it's always the best to go for the maximum number of attempts possible unless you have an economic hardship.
All right. So if I can bring out the gist and something from the utilitarian point of view, from the, a lot many prospective candidates would be hearing this. And I gather that you emphasized upon 2-3 very pertinent points. Those points were, one, the time management, which was the undercurrent regarding this, and the second was the mocks. And I know that you attempted some mocks with us as well, right? So tell me, for the viewers, that how to manage this time, considering that there is so much on the plate of a candidate in terms of preparation, apart from the usual chores of life. And how does mocks at GS Core help you?
I think it's about having limited resources, especially when time is meek. So I think, when it comes to having limited resources as well, revision is key. So if you really have some notes, like personally, I never took notes because it was time consuming for me. But if at all I used to have some pointers. And I think mocks make a huge difference here, because if it's about the mocks, at prelims and mains as well, it helps you improve your accuracy. It helps you, gain that count on time. And you get, really good pointers as well as to what to add and how to present. And personally for me, being part of the interview guidance program, I think be it at GS Core and the other parts of the mocks which I've taken over, prelims, mains and interview, I think it really helps you to polish yourself. And probably that gives you that extra edge that, people otherwise do not get. And naturally, this is a process where we learn from others' mistakes. And I think as mentors or as tutors or faculty, they probably know the mistakes that have been committed across the years. And probably, they do push you from, not committing the same. So I think that's the most important element in this journey.